I'm allowed to curse on the show, right?
Yeah,
Curse.
definitely.
We have a fucking shit show of this movie. I wanted to go into this House of Wax with. I tried to be really open. Obviously I'm a massive Vincent Price fan. I had to remember this is not going to be Vincent Price, but in my opinion, this was just a shit show.
The light fades with death's cold embrace. You've already been zipped and tagged. Struggle as you might, it will not help. No one can break out of the body bag. Here to oversee the autopsy, your hosts, Chris Thomas and Broke Rider Dave.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to Body Bag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Broke Rider Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
I feel like we're kind of coming full circle here, because last episode we had Tag, and he was our second guest, and this episode we have our very first guest, Haley Newlin, is with us, and I don't think we have really anybody scheduled after this, so it's like everything is kind of coming full circle, and it's kind of ending where it began.
Yeah.
So, as I just said, she has one of her stories in the new /her anthology, which just recently came out, of stories all celebrating female authors, two of which we've had on the show, Brianna Morgan and Haley Newlin, who's with us today. Haley Newlin, thanks for coming back with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I'm excited to talk about slasher. It's literally female perspective on the slasher genre and the final girl trope. So it was a lot of fun.
It's ladies' night here on Body Podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this until I was talking to Dave the other day, but we've only had female authors this season.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
We didn't plan it that way.
It just kind of happened.
It just kind of happened. And it just so happened that we have you and Brianna Morgan, and both of you guys are in the /her anthology. So that
That's
just worked.
insane.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
see the message that I had sent you about possibly for season finale having three of you guys?
Yes. Yes. And so I do this thing, you guys, and I think it's the writer in me, just like my mind is always here and there.
Yeah.
But I saw it and I immediately sent it to Brianna and Janine and a couple of the women, and they're just like, yeah. So I mean, we're totally game. It's just, seeing which three. And you guys don't even have to have me. I mean, there's so many incredible women in that.
It doesn't just have to be three. Three was just a number I pulled out of thin air.
It's interesting too, because one of the best reviews we got was, or people keep saying in the reviews for slasher, or /her, I say it too fast, /her, people keep saying that they expected the stories to be kind of redundant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting how we took such different approaches. Like, I'm the only one in the collection who wrote a book in the early 1900s, and some of them worked with really modern tech and things like that. I think there might be, there's even one kind of about sort of a little bit of posing bodies, like dolls, kind of linking to what we're talking about today with House of Wax, that kind of thing.
Of Vincent Price-ish, you mean?
Yeah. So it's a stellar collection. I'm so excited to be a part of it. And Barbara Crampton from Shopping Mall read it, reviewed it, and her blurb is on the front. So that was pretty exciting.
So let's actually get into your submission to this. The Butcher of Blue Jay Way, which awesome title.
Thank you.
I love rhymes and I love alliteration.
Yes. I'm a fan of alliteration, which you know from Take Your Turn, Teddy.
Yeah, that's how we came up with Body Bag Podcast. We were just spitballing.
Nice.
Alliteration's kind of easy to remember.
Yes.
Body bag, it's easy, I guess. Yeah. So,
well, the idea came from so I think I've shared this with you guys on season 1, but all of my work, everything, has a Beatles reference in it.
Yep.
So, and something I love is, I think you guys are Jordan Peele fans, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. One of the best things Jordan Peele does, and we see it in Get Out and Us, and even in his, Twilight Zone episodes, where he takes these songs that are upbeat and fun, or just something like, really chill. It's a vibe, like I Got Five on it, or whether it's the Beach Boys or something. And he applies this entirely new context to it, so that these fun songs just become really like creepy. And so I love doing that with the Beatles. Even it takes it even a step further. I love the Beatles, so my character loves the Beatles. It's also like it kind of makes it feel like it's part of the story a little bit, like kind of helps them make sense of things. So when I was writing The Butcher on Blue Jay Way, somebody asked me, "Oh, does this one have a Beatles reference too?" And I was like, shit, that's kind of like my identifier. And no, I didn't have one. I didn't have a title for this one yet at all. I don't really have anything, and that's unusual for me. I'm kind of an oddball in that the title comes really fast for me. But I pulled up the lyrics here, and I had Blue Jay Way playing, and I hadn't by the Beatles, and I hadn't heard that song in forever. And my boyfriend Jeremy actually turns it up, and he goes, "This is kind of creepy, like these lyrics." And I was like, it sounds kind of creepy, but I heard it 100 times, haven't thought about it. So I made him play it back, and like the opening is, "There's a fog upon LA, and my friends have lost their way. We'll be over soon, they said. Now they've been chopped up instead." Like, it's just like, what?
Songs from the 50s and 60s. If you play any song from the 50s and 60s in like a dark, empty room, it is the creepiest
You're
thing.
like, what? Yeah. And the Beatles, though, sometimes like that "Run for Your Life" song, like people just sing it and they're like, "Run for your life." And then you're realizing he's like chasing a woman. Like, it's like, and he's like kind of threatening to like kill her if he catches her with another man. And so it's like, oh. So anyway, so my boyfriend played that for me, and I immediately thought, okay, let's just give a little nod to this song. And I already knew I was going to work with a butcher of some kind. And so The Butcher on Blue Jay Way, that title was born. But it wasn't until about the third or fourth revision that I decided to actually integrate it even further, make it like this whole theme in the book. And so what I did is my ladies of the night, early 1900s, my ladies of the night, who are like, I wanted to take like really like kick-ass, like wife of Bath kind of characters, and just make them really, really awesome. And one of the most important things for me in having women of the night was showing they weren't like, "Oh, I'm doing this because I have no other choice, and what can I do?" It's like there wasn't a lot of work for women at that time.
Yeah,
and
they
so
were very
again,
kind of just like, this is a job kind of thing.
and so it wasn't, I don't think it has to be like, "Oh, there's nothing else I can do, but here's my body, that's what I can give you." Like, it wasn't really like that. It was just like, men think that we can't have jobs, but here, let us do this, and we're making like a fuck ton of money.
We have something that people would pay for.
Right. And so it's actually kind of brilliant, I think. So anyway, so I had this whole idea of the main street of the town literally being called Blue Jay Way at night as a code word for that's where the women were. And so the women, the ladies of the night, are called Blue Jays. And so, and I actually even showed them have like good interactions with their customers, like, so they or their clients, like they actually have like decent interactions, because I think people always assume that relationship is like very abusive or something like that, and it doesn't always have to be that way. So it's kind of a new approach on how we think about ladies.
They were on like first name basis with the
right, and that's and if you think about like some really good like old kind of gothic stories where they have like prostitution and stuff like that, there are times when those characters are actually really interesting, and they're likable, and I think that was the thing, was like not to make them like these women that we don't like because they're like repulsive to society or something like that. So and that was the other thing, is like I made some of them have kids, but I still didn't want it to be, I'm doing this because I have to for my children. It's like, I need to make money. Here's what I'm going to do, and this is the way I can make like a crap ton of money.
Like, what's her name from Les Mis, Les Miserables?
Yes, I can't think of her name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Her daughter Cosette. Where Anne Hathaway. Well, I'm just going. Well, by the story, I'm just thinking Anne Hathaway in my mind because that was the recent movie. But she getting her teeth ripped out, and she's just singing that sad song and everything like that.
And in honor of it being, a female collection, I just felt like if I was doing that, I wasn't giving the women the justice. And again, there's such another side to that, and so something else, I do have like a creepy creeper because they exist. And what I tried to do instead was make the Blue Jays a very tight unit. So like they're just like, that's the opening, is they're all just kind of like coming at this guy like, hey, like I can't remember what it's my book, it's my story, and I can't remember what they call him. But they have a nickname for him, and it's just like the Blue Jays like swarm, so that was kind of a theme I was doing with them, is because Blue Jays as a bird, they're fighters. They're very territorial. They're very protective. And so I gave the women that name just to kind of show that like women together, it's just badass and strong, just like all the women that came together in this collection.
And you said you've never seen Sin City?
No, I have not seen Sin City.
The entire time I was watching that, I don't know if you have, Dave, but the entire time I was reading it, I just kept thinking of Sin City.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody told me Peaky Blinders, and I've never seen Peaky Blinders.
I've seen the first season. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you say it's kind of it parallels The Butcher on Blue Jay Way?
Peaky Blinders, I wouldn't.
Takes place around the same time, so same time period.
Well, I wrote in my notes, as the stuff with House of Wax was going on, I was like, I can believe that these both take place in the same universe and are taking place in the same city. In all honesty, but yeah, because in Sin City, it's a black and white noir, and there is a section of the city that is entirely not just. It's pretty much ran by the hookers of the city, and they are a tight unit.
Nice.
They pretty much are their own hit squad and everything. They if you like cross one of the ladies, or if you abuse them, they pretty much are very professional about it. They're like, right, you can. I think one of the lines was, if you have the right, if you come in and you have the money, they'll make all your dreams come true. But if you cross them, they have like their own kind of police force where they'll kill you if you like.
Nice. Wow, I need to see that.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie, but the
that
entire
sounds
time
up my alley.
I just kept hearing sexy noir jazz saxophone playing while I was reading it.
So when I had this in mind, I was thinking of that noir kind of feel, because even some of the low budget, black and white Vincent Price movies kind of like will tiptoe into that noir feeling a little bit, in my opinion. And so I was trying to allude to that, but
the 50s was very noir heavy. That was a very popular genre of filmmaking back then.
Yeah, and I had just read Sylvia Moreno Garcia's Velvet Was the Night. She's the author of Mexican Gothic too. So Velvet Was the Night was like not horror by any means, but it was like noir, like oldies crime kind of movies, what I kept thinking about. But it's cool because it takes place in Mexico City after the Dirty War, which I knew nothing about. Also, it talks about like Mexican Woodstock. Again, I knew nothing about. And the characters like learn English and things through Elvis Presley and the Beatles just by listening to vinyl records. So that I thought that was really cool. So yeah, that's a little bit on The Butcher on Blue Jay Way. I think I got a review, and I'm still blushing when I say it, and I think I can even recite it for you guys. So I got a review, and it said, let me see. It said something like, reminds me of Psycho meets Sweeney Todd with the psychological brilliance of an Anne Rule book. And
Definitely the Sweeney Todd I see.
I definitely felt the Psycho. I thought about that when I was reading it.
Yeah. Thank you. So
what was the ending bit of that review? You said Sweeney Todd and Psycho.
With the psychological brilliance of an Anne Rule book. So Psycho and Sweeney Todd so Anne Rule, she was a true crime writer. She was the one who was a friend of Ted Bundy, and so she wrote what's it called, The Stranger Beside Me. So she worked at the national or the suicide prevention hotline that Ted Bundy worked at with him for a couple of years. So
that's why it's taken me a while to get out my review for it, because I want to be able to write a review that has something that nice sounding to it.
Well, thank you. I read that and I was like, and that was just about my story. Like, and I was just like, that was so nice. One of my other favorites from slasher is it's a story called I Hate Slashers. And it's from Cynthia Palaio, who wrote Children of Chicago, which is officially becoming a movie now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's got to be an aspiration of probably all of you authors out there is like
Oh,
the
for
second that it hits
sure.
a movie status.
Yeah.
Yes. I kept thinking, when I was looking through what the different women did in slasher, I kept thinking, how cool would this be as like a series? You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
kind of you get like a little bit here and there. I thought that would be so cool. Even maybe like Fear Street, where they reuse some of the actors like throughout the different stories. That would be
Yeah.
really cool, I think.
Oh, you mean for each of the slasher stories, just use the same
Yeah.
Yeah,
cast? Oh no, that'd be
yeah,
like
I think.
American Horror Story, where they just recycle the same actors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, and I think that that would be really cool. So yeah, I had
Yeah.
so much fun writing slash or the Butcher on Blue Jay Way. I'm particularly proud of the Blue Jay imagery I created. I don't know if you both read it, but
Yeah.
people don't.
Yeah.
I did some research. Like I literally researched just Blue Jay birds, and they're very, very territorial.
Yeah.
And so I alluded to that in the Butcher's character a lot. So.
Yeah.
And then, did you guys catch the Poe reference?
I wrote down in my notes. I said, Fortunato. I too am a fan of
Fortunata.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes, yeah, that's my
Yeah.
favorite Edgar Allan Poe
The
story.
Cask of Amontillado.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my favorite. And
That's
it's
up
just
there,
so
yeah.
funny. Like that guy's Fortunato, and you're not very fortunate, man.
Yeah.
So I just
And
it's a
also, was that intentional that it was a Fortunato because he too was lulling them to a false sense of security?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I did it. And he presented it as like this just conversation like among friends, like this is
Hmm.
a safe space kind of thing.
Yeah.
And kind of leads them down to this like cellar, wine cellar. And so I thought it'd be so cool if the wine label said
I'm glad that
Fortunato.
you asked that
Yeah.
question because I was trying to figure out how to segue into mentioning that, hey, I got that
Yeah.
Fortunato reference, by the way.
That's so cool. Thank you. Yeah,
Uh,
I try to always do that, do some little name drops throughout.
I think the biggest takeaway, or moral I could probably take away from the story is like, ladies, if there's a guy who's, acting nice to you, he will kill you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if there is a man who's acting nice to you and treating you right, feeding you and treating you and your friends well, he don't trust him. He will kill you.
Yeah, and there's this brilliant Anne Rule quote. She worked with the FBI, and she seriously was writing about Ted Bundy. Like she was a crime writer, and so she was already had a book deal to cover the Ted Bundy story before they knew it was Ted Bundy. So that was just
Mhm.
crazy. It was like, oh, and he's your friend.
Yeah.
But anyway, she has this line, and it says something like, men don't have to look over their shoulder. Men don't have to put their keys between their fingers or look down when they walk.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
she had this idea when she said women are taught very early on that every time you step outside, or now even when you're within your home, that you are being hunted. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of what
Yeah.
I was trying to allude here, is that there are these moments where women come off as standoffish, or like, oh, she's really shy or whatever. And it's just sometimes that women maybe feel intimidated, or maybe just came from an intimidating situation. And that's like the unfortunate thing about being a woman, is sometimes you have to put your guard up so high that you're kind of missing out on everything else. And
Because
so that's kind
men,
of
for
what
the
I
most part, don't have to worry about being attacked at any given moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And so, and obviously that's like the circumstances, whatever, but that's what I tried to capture. And I'm trying to what did I name my main character? Was she Lori? So that was something I tried to capture in my main character. So while all the other girls, or women I should say, are just kind of like chilling, and they're like, yay, like we're down here, it's the end of the night, we're getting some good dinner, and some wine, that kind of thing. This
She
girl
stayed
has
like vigilant.
yes. Okay, it is Lori. It is Lori.
Yes.
So I always do a Halloween thing if I can,
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
it. So another fun fact, so Lori is from Halloween, but the other girls, or other women like Emmeline and Annabelle, those are actually all based on
The Annabelle doll.
no, these are all based on Jack the Ripper victims. And so I
Oh.
gave them, so I researched a little bit about like what their family said about them and
I
stuff
think you
like
did
that.
mention that. I think.
Did I?
Well, no, not the names, but I do think you had mentioned Jack the Ripper in passing
Yeah.
it when talking about Blue. You might have
Yeah.
talked about it last season when you were talking about
Yeah.
coming up with a story.
I mean, it felt weird to not use him when I decided I wanted to work with Ladies of the Night, because
Yeah.
serial killers back in the day, like always, not even that far away, you know, like there was serial killers in the 80s that were targeting sex workers, that kind of thing. And it's sad because people didn't look for them a lot, you know, or the policemen weren't actively trying to protect them in all areas because it was like, but they're gone. So that's
they
fine.
were like throwaway citizens.
Right.
not
Right.
really
And it's like, well,
important.
as long as he stays here, you know, on this street, you know, so I did
Also
some
probably
research.
because since they have clientele like the mayor and stuff like that, they're like, well, you know, maybe it's not the worst thing that
Right. Right. So I tried to research a little bit about those women and give these women those characteristics, you know, because like, I don't know about you guys, but when I wrote Nellie's character in with Trump Blue Jay Way, like she was like my heart. And I was just like, Nellie, you know, like just constantly like I felt the need to protect her. And then I was like, do your job. You know, like I started to become very protective of these women. And then I was just like,
that's got to be hard. I know I'm writing a slasher, but I'm very protective of these people. But I
yes,
know at the end of the day, I'm writing a slasher.
yes, exactly. And so it was really difficult, and I had to keep reminding myself though that that's good horror. You know, one of the and not to like, you know, say like I am all knowing that's great horror, but for me at least, I enjoy slashers that make me care about the victims, you know. Like slashers are campy and fun and that's all great, but to me the best slashers is like when whoever loses their head or whoever is stabbed or whatever, you're like, no.
Well,
And
I hear that was one of the issues with the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that you actively did not like any of the characters that were
did you
the
see me
victims.
say that?
No, I've been hearing
That's
that like
just most of the reviews.
as a common
So
view thing.
so one of like the biggest things that when I go on other podcasts that people are like, so we hear, and then like, you know, they don't level with me on this, but I stand by it. I am not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, even the beginning. Excuse me. And it's just because I don't care about anybody in that movie. I don't care at all. We don't really get enough about Leatherface, you know, the kind of purpose there. There's just not enough. And even the
It's just
final
slaughter for the sake of slaughter, basically.
right.
That's
and
a Texas Chainsaw film. Is there's no story. He's just slaughtering people.
Which it can work, given, you know, when it comes to horror, the cool thing about horror is it can be as smart or as just mindless as you want it to be, depending on your mood of what you want to see.
Right.
Because sometimes you do just want to see like even jump scares, which are a lot of times are way overused. Sometimes it's you know it's kind of like being in a haunted house. You'll just get like a quick scare, and sometimes that's what you want. You don't really need any context behind it.
Right.
But
I just thought there was so much potential there with like how much they referenced Ed Gein. You know, I just thought I'm like, there's so much potential. And what always stands out to me is that room, you know, the room that she goes into and there's like bones and there's all those like
the
feathers and
hooks.
stuff. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, what is all like, I mean, we know what it means, but it's also like, I felt like just in that one room, there was so much that like I wanted to know. So to me, it got me interested, but it just didn't have the payoff for me. So to me, that was like a one and done. And I know other people are like, watch it over and over again. Where some people tell me that like they're like Halloween doesn't make any sense, and I'm like, yeah, you know.
I think I had mentioned that when we were reviewing a different thing. I was like, you know, people do hold Halloween, and I love Halloween too. But you know, go back and watch a couple of the things in Halloween. There's some things that you kind of just have to let slide a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's like totally suspending your disbelief because of like your love of Carpenter or your love of Jamie Lee Curtis or just Michael Myers. And I think that's what some people can do with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I just can't. And honestly, I think I can because I was so interested in these little things. And I was like, where is it? You know, like I wanted to know, like they got me. And it just wasn't there.
Drop a Beatles reference once.
Yeah, what the hell?
But I haven't seen the new Chainsaw Massacre.
I haven't seen it yet.
I've seen the trailer for it.
I've seen the first half.
I just haven't had any interest in it. Like, I think the thing that clinched it was that, you know, I know it's supposed to be the big scene of the whole, you know, him mowing down those people in the bus after they say you're getting canceled, bro. And I know why they put that in the thing, because I know that it's supposed to be, all right, that's supposed to be a funny thing because he's obviously going to massacre the quote, like, the
Yeah.
woke, you're
Yeah.
getting canceled, bro, people. But even still, I know that they're poking fun, but that was so forced, even as a joke.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was like, what if we do this? And it was rehearsed again and again and again. Rather,
Yeah.
it would have been, I honestly think it would have been better if like nobody but a couple of people knew, and then it was just like thrown in. You know what I mean? It was like not scripted, something like that. But you're right. It was,
Yeah.
That was
I saw that clip and I was just like,
that was like, let's a 50-year-old
It was
man writing
cringe.
writing dialogue
yeah,
for Gen Z people.
Yeah.
yes, yes. And I was just like, I don't know about you guys, but I was just like, I just finished watching a really shitty 2005 movie, with
Yeah.
Paris Hilton. Do I want to put myself through another really shitty watch right now? So
Yeah.
I feel like after going through House of Wax 2005, I'm just like, right now I'm very protective of my horror space. What am I going to watch next? It's got to be good.
Since we're kind of leaving the book part, is there any last things that you want to say, summing up Slasher or Butcher of Blue Jay Way, before we kind of go into House of Wax territory?
Yeah, I would just say if you consider yourself a slasher fan in any era, like that book is so for you. And even just, with the revival of the final girl trope, that's every single story in this. That was one of our checklists or our checks we had to make. Every single story follows that final girl trope.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really cool because the slasher genre is not one that's always been very nice to women. So it's just really cool to give this fantastic group of women just this opportunity to completely make it their own. And I think that's why we got people like Barbara Crampton and Stephen Graham Jones excited about it, because it was just like it really hasn't been done very much from a woman's perspective. And I think I'm probably biased, but I think this collection is just a standout. Like, it's a rarity, and I think it's really special.
Yeah, I could say from reading it, it is a great anthology. So
Oh,
everyone
thank you.
listening, go on Amazon and buy it right now.
Yeah, and that cover, our cover designer.
Cover's great, yeah.
The cover
I
is
really
beautiful.
dug that cover too.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just beautiful. And
speaking of
yeah,
Halloween, it just her head looks like the pumpkin and the knife.
Yeah.
Yes. What's so funny is the woman on, and this might be like super pretentious of me, but the woman on the cover reminded me of how I was envisioning Lori and the Butcher on Blue Jay Way.
Mm-hmm.
Just because even though like I didn't say it was British, and it does have a very American feel to it, I was picturing like Sweeney Todd kind of characters, so the woman on the cover looks a little like that era, like British to me sometimes. So I kind of thought that was cool.
She definitely had a Cockney accent in my mind.
Yeah.
Can we expect anything from Haley Newlin in the future? Is she working on anything?
Yeah, so I know the last time we talked about The Nowhere Man.
Yes.
And this is officially the longest that it's ever taken me to write a book. One part of that too was just getting my love out in slasher, just making sure I had that. I probably wrote 3 or 4 other stories that I want to develop. One of them is a slasher story at a drive-in, and they're showing The Fly, featuring Vincent Price. So I did that, and I still want to develop it, but I knew it wasn't right for this, because I was too much. This is Vincent Price. I'm like, okay, this is about celebrating women in horror,
Yeah.
So I do plan on releasing some other short stories, but The Nowhere Man is my number one right now. It's finally feeling like it's coming together really well.
Yeah.
And I'm working with my same. Yes, I'm working with the same editor, Clayton. He's amazing. So we're hoping to have the first draft entirely done by April. Okay. And so our plan is to publish in this winter, so around December. So look out for The Nowhere Man.
Yeah, hopefully you can come on the show whenever season that'll be, whenever we
can
promote that then.
It's like a tradition now. You have to have me on every season, right?
Exactly.
Well, you and Tag apparently.
Yeah.
And, I love it.
Now we're talking to Jamie again, so yeah.
Nice. I love
fan
Jamie.
favorites.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a listener favorite too, because you still hold the most downloads on our.
Whoa, that's so awesome! Thank you,
love
listeners.
Vincent Price too.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's so amazing.
And so everybody, Butcher of Blue Jay Way, part of the Slasher Anthology. Go out and check it out. before we move into House of Wax, something that we introduced last episode with Tag that we're trying to do that we think is pretty fun. We are doing this build a monster thing. So
Okay.
I have in my hand right now a randomization wheel filled with tons and tons of different horror movie villains.
Okay.
And I am going to randomly spin it. And you have to build a villain here. And you have these 7 qualities that you have to
Okay.
attribute. So you have intelligence,
Okay.
the look, weapons,
Okay.
voice, specialty, strength, and resources. So, Tag, when he was on last episode, spun the wheel randomly and he got these various things that he had to. He basically got his character consisted of the look of Pyramid Head from Silent Hill,
Oh.
the specialty of the T-1000 from
Oh.
and these are all random
Nice.
too. He had to just kind of get it as they roll of the dice kind of thing.
Yeah.
The weapon of Jack Torrance, which was the
Ooh,
axe.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
The voice of Patrick Bateman. The intelligence of Predator.
Nice.
And but then he tripped at the finish line because he got the resources of Buffalo Bill and the strength of Ghostface.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he tripped at the
That'd
finish
be like
line.
his weak spot then.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is, since you are the second now, we're going to spin the wheel
Okay.
and you're gonna build your character, and then we're gonna put it up online and have people vote and see who would win in this matchup.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Then
This
the
is
winner
awesome.
goes on to the next for our next guest to choose,
Yeah.
and
All
at the end of
right.
the season, we're gonna see who
Yeah.
is left standing.
Okay. All right.
All right, so let me get the wheel up. All right, your first character, spin. Art the Clown from the Terrifier.
Okay, so I have to give him one of my
So
my
you can take his intelligence, his look, his weapons, his voice, his specialty, strength, or resources.
I'm gonna take his look. I'll
Yeah.
take his look.
Very intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I feel like that was such a crucial one to go out on my first try, but
I
clowns
think
are
that was probably the best one you could have given him was probably in the looks department.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Sean from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh God. Okay. Tell me again. I'm sorry. My
You have
list.
intelligence, weapons, voice, specialty, strength, and resources.
No. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie too.
He's a
Okay.
dude. He's a British
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, just a dude.
With a cricket bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, that's intelligence, weapons, voice, specialty, strength, and resources.
I do think that like the clown with like like cricket or like whatever whistle ball, whatever it was like he had, I feel like that would still be kind of freaky, him chasing you like ready to swing it at you. So
You're gonna give him the weapon, is that it?
yeah, that's the weapon.
All right,
I'm not gonna give him that voice. That would take it away.
Shaun of the Dead. So I'm gonna say that cricket bat.
Yeah.
Yep, cricket bat. I'm picturing it. It kind of reminds me of Teddy. You guys remember in Take Your Turn Teddy, the baseball clown? Yeah. I can't remember his name, but for the Indiana clowns. Yeah, Indianapolis clowns.
Well,
okay.
So far it's not too bad because he had an axe for his thing. You have a cricket bat. I mean, you both are kind of like average in the weapon department, but you both are looking intimidating. So you both.
I mean, at least he has a blade, though. He has a blade, though. But
yeah, but if you still could like
you can swing that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so next. Jack Torrance. We just.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
okay.
You could take what Tag Wishy took last time with Jack Torrance. I think because he took Jack Torrance's weapon, which was the axe.
Right.
But he wished that he took his voice. That's what he wished.
That is what I was thinking, because I imagined like
Yeah.
Because we've already seen Jack Nicholson as the Joker, so seeing him a little bit as a clown, I think would be freaky as hell. So
I mean,
I'm
he
gonna say
was the
voice.
Joker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think I'm gonna do that. Yep, the voice.
All right. So now we're getting down to the real important stuff here: the intelligence, specialty, strength, and resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
Candyman.
Ooh, yes. I'm gonna go with resources for the Candyman because he's got all this like kind of supernatural like. Is that kind of what that means? Like
that would
kind of like
probably be
what's on
more
his tool belt?
That would be more specialty, I would say.
Okay, do I still have that?
Yeah, you have
All
specialty.
right. Okay, I'm gonna give him that specialty. I think that's freaky as hell.
So his mystical, paranormal,
Yeah,
undead
just
powers.
kind of in that Jack Nicholson voice, be my victim, you know?
Helen.
Yeah. What it was it a wiffle ball bat? What was it? Or
Yeah, cricket bat.
Yeah.
cricket. Yeah, I can see it. I might be biased.
So you're making up for it now. You're getting the mysticism in the departments that you needed here. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Pinhead.
Pinhead.
You got strength, resources, and intelligence.
Pinhead. Oh my gosh, you guys. I know this is like we're all talking about horror, but I immediately went to SpongeBob. Like, I'm Dirty Dan, I'm Pinhead Larry.
I was thinking more the slinging slasher or the slinging slasher.
But remember who's funny is the real Dirty Dan. That's what I went to immediately. SpongeBob. Okay.
Because when Patrick is like, "Who you calling Pinhead?"
Yeah.
I mean, we can take that Pinhead if you want. We can take Patrick.
That's okay. That might be a downfall. Okay, so Pinhead. Okay, so what do I have left? Intelligence, strength, and resources?
Yes.
Yeah.
So would resources be like all the little tools that he gets to use, Pinhead?
That's I guess I would say his resources are what's available to him in that hell dimension.
Yeah.
Because
that's
like
kind of what I was thinking on. Like,
because who did oh yeah, Tag unfortunately had the resources of Buffalo Bill, so he gets lotion in a crawl space.
In a basket, a little dog,
and and a pair of night vision goggles.
Right.
Which he should have taken Patrick Bateman, so at least he would have been rich. But,
right. So I'm gonna take resources.
Resources go to Pinhead. All right. Lastly, we got strength and intelligence.
Okay.
Ed Warren.
Ooh, definitely intelligence. Definitely.
Intelligence. All right.
All right, strength. This is what it comes down to.
This is where it comes down to here.
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, whatever you get, you have a pretty decent. This is a pretty decent versus match.
Yeah. Unless he can't swing that croquet.
You're as strong as Patrick Bateman.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Not bad. Not bad.
All right. Yeah.
Not
yeah.
bad.
It could have been Ghostface.
I'd say that Patrick. Well, we know Patrick Bateman works out.
Yeah. So I'm happy with that. I'm excited to see it.
So the verses, which I'll post a little bit later, between you and Tag, you have Tag, which was the specialty of the T-1000, which is his liquid metal thing, the look of Pyramid Head, the weapon of Jack Torrance, which is the axe, the strength of Ghostface, resources of Buffalo Bill, voice of Patrick Bateman, and the intelligence of Predator. You have the intelligence of Ed Warren, the look of Art the Clown, the weapon of Shaun of the Dead, that cricket bat, the voice of Jack Torrance, the specialty of Candyman, the strength of Patrick Bateman, and the resources of Pinhead.
Jeez, did you guys just write my fourth book?
I want just mention us in the give us a little ending credit.
Oh yeah.
So
this wouldn't have happened without Body Bag.
Where did you get such a rich idea.
The little spinny wheel on body
The
bag.
little spinny wheel thing, the little spinny wheel app from.
That was awesome. I love that. That was cool.
Yeah.
So whoever moves on from that will go on to face whoever our next guest is.
Nice. Oh man, if I face off with Jamie would kick my ass.
Well, it depends. It's all luck based, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
like a wheel.
Yeah, okay.
so that's fun. That'll be treats for later. On to brass tacks here. House of Wax.
Oh my god.
So, your movie pick, House of Wax. So House of Wax is about a group of teenagers who are on a road trip. I thought it was weird that you chose this movie.
Well, it's a comparison of the two.
No, I'm
Yes.
joking.
Yeah.
I'm like cringing over here. I'm like, listeners, I didn't.
I was just gonna. You should have just stayed quiet. I was gonna mention the entire plot of the remake and say, I'm surprised you chose this one. You know that there's a movie with Vincent Price called House of Wax. You should have watched that movie. I'm surprised.
Do you even know who he is?
Yeah.
But yeah, which again, thank you for this pick because again, any excuse to watch some more Vincent Price, I'm always down for. And I needed something to wash the taste of the other movie out of my mouth, the one that just put me in a bummed out mood.
Yes.
So, real quick, for those who do not know about the 1950s Vincent Price movie House of Wax, I have it right here. House of Wax is about a wax sculptor named Henry Jared, played by Vincent Price, whose talents are widely respected. A fire destroys his life's work before he unveils his newest creations to the world, leaving his hands permanently scarred and leaving him in a wheelchair. Sometime later, Jared returns to the art scene, unveiling his newest wax projects, while at the same time a series of murders begin cropping up around the city. And again, I did not just read that off of my notes. Completely improvised synopsis there.
I feel like we also have to mention that Carolyn Jones, the first Morticia Addams, is also in the 1953 House of Wax.
Oh, she is, isn't
she?
Yeah, she's the blonde. She's Eastville Society.
That's such a shame because I did not like her.
Really? I think
it might have been her voice. I don't know.
See, and it's so funny because you listen to her as Morticia, and obviously it's not it. Yeah. So I feel like she did what they cast her for. She was the easygoing blonde, and
it's a shame
her laugh
because Morticia and Gomez Addams was my number one couple in #Chris loves love.
Right. So I think it's a lot of fun to see her, and because Morticia almost came 10 years later after she did this role. So I think it's just a lot of fun to see her in her early phase, just kind of like, hey, you're the pretty blonde. And she's like, okay. And she does it well. She does exactly what she's supposed to be there for.
I guess she was the Paris Hilton of that movie then. So
yeah, but put some respect on her name. Definitely a bit better than
Morticia
that.
Addams, Paris Hilton, same thing, right?
Oh, God.
I know. I felt horrible just saying that.
I know.
Even though I was joking.
I know me and Dave were like, no.
Chris, don't even joke about something like that.
Yeah, how dare you?
So right off the bat, you ever see a movie and then you watch the original and you're just so bummed out that you were introduced to it in a horrible way? Because I didn't see the original House of Wax. I saw the Paris Hilton 2005
oh my
House
God,
of Wax
you poor thing.
Right.
And then I watched this one, and as I'm watching it, I got bummed out. I'm like, all the wasted years that I could have known about this. Because in 15 minutes of the original House of Wax, we've got likable characters, we've got betrayal, we've got the fire, which happens in the beginning and not the end.
Yeah.
And a guy going, we have so much jam-packed in the first 5-10 minutes of this movie that the remake had an entire hour and a half and some change and doesn't even come close to the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And something I love about the original is the, that key witness, the key witness who sees the man behind this wax museum. So I thought that was really cool, especially in the 1950s, because I think in really, really good horror stories, when you think about it, like there's always a woman who knows something's off, so even just going to Halloween, the girl's like, ha, and Laurie Strode's like, no, what? There's a guy back there, what the hell? Yeah. So, and I think that rings so true. If you listen to like true crime cases, like it was the women in Ted Bundy's life that's like, hey, check out this guy,
But
and so I thought that was a cool.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I just thought that
I
was a
don't
cool
mean to
angle.
like keep I get excited when talking about movies, so I'm sorry if I keep talking over you at some point.
You're fine. We kind of do it to each other, so I'm not offended.
Um I just wrote in my notes because of exactly what you're saying whenever like the woman who knows exactly what's going on. I just wrote dames, am I right? Because
Yeah.
whenever the guy's here, it's like, just like a woman, all these
Always
dames.
has to have the last word,
Always gotta get all the last word.
Yeah.
She's
Well, yeah,
hysterical over here.
Yeah, she goes to the police, and he's like, no human being can look like that. You sure you didn't imagine it? And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, there's a woman dead. Like, did you imagine it? There's a woman dead. Like, what more do you need?
Yes.
Like,
people are dying in the city, dude. Like, and this is your
yeah,
only lead.
yeah. Like, there's a body that matches her story. Like, and they're just like, nah, did you imagine the whole thing? That's what he doesn't even just say. Like, the guy, he's like, sure you didn't imagine the whole thing? And it's like, you're the police. Like, there's a body, right? Didn't you just come from seeing the body?
You broads
And then the
over
body
here in your
disappeared right after
imagination.
that too.
Yes. And see, I loved seeing that because, nowadays in the morgue, it's like you pull out like a tray, so I liked seeing the old like bodies being covered in like one room, just covered with sheets. And I just thought that was really cool. And horror movies don't use this little detail that I learned from my twin sister, Hannah, who worked in surgery forever, the toe tags. So there's little tags on your toes that like says like your date of birth, your name, and stuff like that.
All that.
Yes, you could kind of see that. And I just thought that was kind of a cool little like authenticity, a little bit.
Can you ask her, do bodies really sit up like that?
Yes, and she said yes. She said it's happened before. She said she's also seen like a hand like flip over because sometimes it's just like it's a reaction like as the body is like she's really shutting
deflating
down.
basically.
Yeah, and then you're putting all this crap into it. And she said like the muscles can like spasm and have reactions, and that just freaked me out. Like I started picturing like in a really scary movie, like we say this thing like running around like a chicken with their head cut off, and I'm like running around like a man in a morgue, like like something like that. Like that I mean, obviously that's to the extent like extreme, not really possible, but I immediately went to that and I was like, oh my god, like what if they're like standing up in there or something like that? But yeah, she said she's had people sit up before.
When that scene happened, I was like, these are very calm morgue assistants. Just like
they're just
body
like,
sits up and it's like, that happens from time to time. I'm like, and you
Yeah,
still work here?
get him down there.
That happens once out of three. I'm gone. Like, no.
Yeah, one of my favorite like lines is between the two morgues, and it's like got hit by one of them automobiles, and he's like, I didn't think any of those go fast enough to kill anybody, and he's like, give it time, and like they don't even realize like the dramatic like irony there, and they don't even realize it.
The second that I finished the movie was when I sent you that text of, I want Vincent Price to narrate my life.
Yeah,
that was the first 10 minutes of the movie when I was watching it. I was like, man, just hearing this dude speak and the way he's talking about his work. I just he has such a I think everybody would love to have that kind of passion for their job.
Right. And that's the best, to me, that is the best thing about Vincent Price is he was never in like, he wasn't in blockbusters, he was in like these B-level horror movies, and even in the movies where he's kind of like a side character, like even in The Fly where he's he's not in it a ton or as much, it's just you're glued to him. But House of Wax is especially like a great instance of Vincent Price because that's him in his element, talking about murder, talking about like, I can't remember if it was a housemaid or something, like stabbing a guy in the bathtub and talking about the guillotine, and just like I just want him to say guillotine, like he's like guillotine, like in his Vincent Price voice. I just love it. Yes.
I think there was a line that Vincent said that I feel like he was probably saying this directly to the audience in regards to like his movies, and when he was talking in the movie, when he was talking about his new project that he was unveiling, he said, I think I got it right here. Hold on. Oh, don't make me. Oh, here it goes. I'm going to give the people what they want. Sensation, horror, shock. Send them out into the streets to tell their friends how wonderful it is to be scared to death.
Yeah,
I think that sums up Vincent Price movies perfectly.
Perfectly. And in my room, I have a framed poster of Vincent Price in House of Wax. And I think I fell in love with Vincent Price. I think my first movie was House of Wax, if I remember correctly, but it was that line right there. So it wasn't like seeing all these Vincent Price movies that made me love Vincent Price. It was that line right there. And to this day, it's what I remember Vincent Price for. And so that little line, that presence in this film will make me watch everything he's in, even the ones that I regret watching now. But I will always watch anything Vincent Price is in, just because of that.
That sums up why there's such a big horror community. He says, tell people how fun it is to be scared to death.
Yes, yes.
I forget what movie I heard when somebody was explaining. It was like riding a roller coaster. People like you get the feeling of living like on the edge and you might die, but then you get the satisfaction like afterwards of like surviving it and stuff like that. And that's why it's kind of like the same thing you get from a roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way of putting it too. And there's even like this caution, like okay, we know this is going to be really scary. Like that's why we have the seatbelt, right? And so I think that's kind of the experience you have when you ease into a horror film too. It's like, this is going to be that roller coaster. And so, we're cautious. We put our hands over our face or whatever it might be. And it's still just like, okay, I didn't jump at that part. Or even if you did, it's like, okay, I'm good now. Like I'm fine. So it's satisfactory. It's thrilling. It's just, there's nothing like a good horror movie, which brings me to really bad horror movies. Yeah.
Speaking of bad horror movies.
This isn't even like one of those movies where it's so bad it's good. This is just flat out bad.
Which is weird, because when I first saw it, I remember watching it back in 2005 when it was always on either HBO or whatever it was showing on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys. But
you didn't hate it then.
But I wasn't as critical when watching movies, because if it came out in 2005, I'd have been 14.
Right. So back then it was like a Friday night flick.
It was just like a fun. Whatever. But when you start getting older, when you start knowing what your interests are, and
getting it even more developed taste.
Yes, and mine being movies and storytelling, and I go back and then I look at the original House of Wax and I go, they wanted to take a property that was well known, but then completely missed the point of when they were trying to recreate it. You took a character as interesting as Vincent Price and reduced him to a guy who doesn't talk and whose story we cared nothing about, because
an evil twin too.
An evil twin. And it's like, right off the bat, we are introduced to Vincent Price before the fire, so we know who he is, we know what he's all about, we know his passion for his work, and we're right there. He's like, he's a little quirky, but damn it, I like this guy. I love his passion. I love that he loves his work, and he gets along with everybody. Even his shady business partner. He's like, listen, I know you're trying to cut ties. He's a nice guy. He's like, all right, I'll try to compensate you for your stuff. I'll sort you out. Which I'll talk about that in a second. And then they reduced his character to, in the remake, we see him. We don't know this dude. What we know of this dude is what we are told of this dude.
And I watched a little like director's cut of the 2005 House of Wax, and they're like, we didn't necessarily want him to be Vincent Price, but we named him Vincent like in honor of him. And I'm like, shut your mouth. Like that is not an honoring. Like that is not an honor. It's not an honor. That's an insult to Vincent Price.
And Vincent Price makes B movies. Vincent Price makes B movies, and even he would say, don't put my name on this.
Right.
Because now Vincent Price takes time with his waxing. It's his art form. But this new guy apparently just pumps him out over the course of like maybe an hour. It takes to get this thing.
See, the vengeful artist brought like this kind of added layer of
he
like
wants things
tension
to be perfect.
and unease. Yeah, it just made it like it made his madness focused.
Yes.
Where the one here, it's like, why are you so mad?
He's just doing
like,
it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt too.
It's more that he was a killer with a quirk rather than
Yeah, there's no intention there.
No
rhyme or reason.
Yeah, so this guy really, in my opinion, wouldn't really exist in real life because there's nothing really there on why he is the way he is, other than his brother was perfect and you didn't eat your damn Cheerios.
Yeah.
Like your perfect brother's over there eating his Cheerios, and you're just crying and screaming.
And like Vincent Price had a reason for killing the people because
at some point
they looked like the art he wanted to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this guy just killed anyone that came to this town.
Came to town. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk too about like the wax figurines come so late in the 2005 edition? We get like a little hint of it in the opening, but that's really it. Like, and like, isn't that what this movie is? One
other thing I thought was so lame. It's like thinking about again. I'm just starting to remember everything now with the remake. The entire house is made of wax.
Yeah, that made no
to the point where
that made no sense. That made no sense.
I've thought about that. I remember thinking that was weird back in the day, but thinking about it now, I'm like, wait a second, that's lame. The entire house.
That's an awful place to live, in a house of wax.
Picture script, like it just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all. And
I know it's called House of Wax, but that does not mean it's literally a house of wax.
And to me, that's like, it's like bad writing. Like, it's like, how can we really like seal the deal on this, like this House of Wax? Oh, just make it a House of Wax, like, and my mind went to like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the new one with Johnny Depp, where he's like, build me a palace of chocolate, and it starts caving in and falling, and I'm just like, how is this thing still here then? Like, how is this thing
how does anything work in this house? If everything is made of wax, how do you have lights? How do you have other things?
They turn on the faucet and like you have running water in your house of wax.
So what happens on a really hot summer day? Like,
does your house melt?
Right. Yes, that's why they went to like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's just like, the palace of chocolate, it should melt. Doesn't make sense. That's what wax does. Wax melts.
Yeah.
And you kind of touched on this with talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in that other than the what was her name? Was it Kathy, the one who was Joan of Arc?
Kathy. Yes, Carolyn Jones.
Yeah. I was being hyperbolic when I compared her to like Paris Hilton as an annoying character. Her voice was a little bit whatever, but she wasn't insufferable or anything. It was I could just say that her voice could be kind of like oh, that's gonna bug me. There's a woman who's something Fran Drescher. Is that her name?
Fran Drescher from The Nanny.
Okay.
Yes, Fran Drescher.
I was going to Jennifer Tilly. She kind of has
I'm just talking about in terms of like a voice that could become irksome after a while.
See, Jennifer Tilly can do that to me a little bit. I love her. I think she's great, but she can do it a little bit to me.
Her not so much. But
maybe in Chucky more so than some of her other roles.
But other than that, her character wasn't like awful or anything.
No, and I mean, weren't you sad when she died? Like, wasn't it just kind of like, oh, she was trying to help this other girl?
I wasn't sad about her. I was more sad about her friend, the one who's the main girl,
who was about to get kicked out of her room.
Yeah, I felt more bad about her and the fact that she lost her close friend.
Yeah.
Although I find it weird that apparently she knows every inch of her body. I love my mother, but I couldn't tell you if she has both ears pierced.
See, that was a detail that was. I still struggle with that detail. I'm like, they're like, was she wearing earrings? It's like, no, I don't think. And I'm just like,
what does it matter?
That was,
So that comes up, you start thinking about, like, was she? Like, did I see that?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
What my point I was getting to was that, what is it about remakes and like making their main survivor people unlikable, which is what the remake did.
Right. And you guys know this is a remake of a remake, right?
Yes.
So and so the original, is it Ray Faye? Is that her name?
The original.
Yeah, bring it
when
up.
did that come out? Like 1933?
It's I think it was in color, but it has that like weird effect where it's like red sitting on green, so it kind of looks like this Technicolor effect. And it's interesting because I think her name is Ray Faye. I could be so wrong. Something Faye. But she was the main woman in the original King Kong. So up until that point, she was like the black and white, kind of film actress. And it was interesting to see her in color there. Excuse me, I have the hiccups now.
Faye Ray. She played Charlotte Duncan in the original.
Yes.
Mystery of the Wax
Mystery,
Museum.
Yeah. Which is, it's just fun. I have like the Vincent Price collection DVDs, like volume 1 and volume 2. And so that edition of House of Wax, it comes with the original Mystery of the Wax Museum too.
Nice. I know they don't have to, remake it beat for beat for the story, but why take such a good story and then produce a terrible story?
I think that I compare what they did with making, and the thing is, whatever the guy's name is, the one who was making the wax stuff, wasn't even the main guy either.
No.
He wasn't even the main bad guy, really.
No.
But when turning him into that, I said it was like taking the most interesting man in the world, the Dos Equis guy, and turning him and say, let's make him more like Leatherface. It's like, so just get rid of all of his, because Vincent Price is going to do this with everything he does, but his character is a very well-spoken, very he's much like the wax mask that he has. He is putting on this facade of very sophisticated, very well-spoken, very like everybody likes him, he's nice to everybody kind of guy, but he under the surface he's like this horrible disfigured guy who's killing people. Even the reveal of his disfigured face was worse than what they did in 1950. Was it 57?
Yeah.
No, in 1957, the way she bust the wax face off, that looked pretty cool. That was a cool effect. His reveal in the remake, I was like,
and then can we also just talk about the I don't know if this drove you guys, like it was infuriating to me. It just pissed me off, and I was like, wow, like I wasn't even like concentrating on the story. I had to keep going back, but the soundtrack to the 2005 House of Wax did not make sense. Like they were using like, I can't remember if it's like 9 Inch Nails or Marilyn Manson. And I'm just like, Saw does that at times, and I think you guys know I'm not a Saw fan, but Saw has done that before. But it's like they back it up. They back it up with like the high tension of the scene. And House of Wax 2005 would do it, and it's just like, what the hell?
I was gonna say, at least your boyfriend has some sense, because he said that he was a Saw fan.
My boyfriend is a Saw fan. Yes. That's one thing we don't agree on. Bless his heart, whenever we do these, like he sits through them with me. And so we were watching this House of Wax, and he's just like, what the hell? One thing that I did,
or the old one?
The remake. I totally made him love Vincent Price.
I was about to say, did you turn him into a Vincent Price fan?
You'd have to, right? I'd be like,
this ain't gonna work.
Vincent
comes with the relationship.
Right. And another thing with this one was I didn't realize that Jared Padalecki was in it. So I knew him from Supernatural. So he, in my opinion, he was one of the better things about the movie. You still don't love his character, but I saw some of like the young like Sam Winchester in him a little bit. And so I thought that was okay. Other than that, it seems like, let's just put all these like attractive teens together and like it'll
are
just
are these attractive 20-something-year-olds playing teens,
right? Exactly. And they're annoying, and there's something else about this movie that drives me nuts is they're stupid. Like, not even just like saying that like, oh, you dumbass, like you fell down. Like, they are just stupid. Like, the stuff they do doesn't make any sense. We're in such a hurry to get to this football game, which by the way I thought was very lame. We're in a hurry to get to this football game.
Let's go. Let's drive cross country to this football game.
Right. We're in such a hurry. Let's just drive and let's camp on the side of the road, which I'm pretty sure is very fucking illegal. Let's camp on the side of the road. And they're in such a hurry, but the next day they're not going to wake up until 2:30 in the afternoon. And I'm like, I hope this isn't showing like the Indiana girl in me, but you are not going camping and sitting in a tent until 2:30 in the afternoon. That shit bakes in the sun, you know.
I'm not an Indiana guy, but I'm just saying that out loud. That was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, you probably get really hot in there.
Yeah, I'm like, I am not a camper at all, but I was, you know, I had to go when I was a kid. But I was just like, no, when you camping, you're like, you feel that sun. Like when that sun is up, you feel it. And so that irritated the hell out of me. I'm like, oh, we're in such a big hurry, but we slept until 2:30. Like, what? That was the theme of this movie. Like I was just constantly like, what? And why?
But this is one of those instances where you're actually rooting for the characters to like get off screen just so you don't have to listen to them anymore.
Yeah, and that's not good. That's not good. And I do see what's crazy to me is I don't even think Paris Hilton's character was the worst part about this movie. And I expected me to just constantly be like, Paris Hilton, you suck. This sucks. Like Paris Hilton, get out of here.
I think Paris Hilton just became like the face of it. Paris Hilton just kind of became synonymous with like the badness of it. So it's like people just know the movie's bad, so they instantly jump on and say, "Oh, Paris." It's kind of like Nickelback, where people say that Nickelback is awful or the worst thing. Is like, you know, Paris Hilton. You know, if you took Paris Hilton out of the movie, it would still be a bad movie.
Right. Yeah. And in my opinion, even though she was awful, Paris Hilton served her purpose, right? She was supposed to bring people in. She was supposed to be
She was supposed to put asses in seats in the movie theater, basically. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But something that drives me crazy, and I don't know if you guys knew this, like even Paris Hilton, right? We can talk shit about Paris Hilton all we want, but something with Psycho and something with Scream was something that they did that was brilliant. Was, you know, they took these big name actresses, Janet Leigh and Drew Barrymore, who are, you know, fantastic actresses. Not comparing them in that realm to Paris Hilton, but they took them, and so they put these big names in it, and then their deaths were really shocking. So it's like, what? It's like you killed Drew Barrymore in 2 minutes? Like what? And then you go over to this 2005 House of Wax, and Paris Hilton's death, it was in trailers, you know. So it was, to me, it was like super just fucking mean that it's like, hey, come to this movie, you get to see Paris Hilton die. Like, I was just like, damn, like that's
right.
Does Paris Hilton annoy you? Well, you can watch her die.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm wondering if they'll do that like with the Kardashians next. But I was just like, damn, I thought that was tough. And one thing I had in my notes that I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys know like the script writers of this film, The House of Wax 2005? Do you know who wrote this?
No.
Let me all right, hold on.
You guys are not gonna believe it if you don't know. You're just gonna be like, shut up, there's no way.
Of the remake?
Yeah, it's 2005. The script writers are actually
Fred Rogers.
I don't know. So I can't remember their names, but I just know like what they did. Because they came, like, if you said it, I would know it. But the script writers of this wrote The Conjuring. Seriously,
really?
I could totally.
They wrote the first Conjuring film, and I'm just like, to me, this just like reeks of like a big production company saying, "Hey, we need a horror film this summer. Just like put some big names in it, give butts and seats, get us some money." And so it just felt like no one on the project gave a shit on like of what this was about. And
kind of like, you make this, and then we'll let you make The Conjuring.
It's like Paris Hilton's here, so you know, and like Chad Michael Murray. You know, I hated Chad Michael Murray's character so much. Like, like I'm not gonna throw the football to Jared Padalecki. Like, fuck that guy. You don't get the football. Like it
was dumb.
They were just. And all the guys were just like, oh, they think you're hot, I hate you, like this stupid girlfriend, how dare you be attractive. And so it was just like the tension between the characters just didn't make sense. It was just all stupid.
These characters all would not be like, you're talking about the main college students or
whatever. They just
it's like if these guys have all this tension with each other, they would not be going on a cross-country road trip with each other.
Right. It's like who put this dysfunctional? Maybe that is though. Like maybe that is like you're just this toxic human being. You're a magnet to other shitty people sometimes.
If you heard like certain people were going on this road, you'd be like, you know what?
I'd be like, it's not really for me.
I'll go on the next one.
Yeah.
Right. And then so let me talk about one thing that stood out to me that I was like, okay, all right. Did you guys have an okay, like, all right, just even for like a snap second? Did you have any of those throughout the movie where you're just like, okay, something?
What do you mean, like, okay? Like, you mean like all right, I'll let that
okay,
go, or
no, like, okay, I see what you did there, or just like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, something like that. And like, I had these little moments where not like, oh, that was really cool, like the reaction I have and like
kind of more like
something.
okay, I'll
I was
allow
like,
it.
okay,
right.
that's not bad.
All right, movie. All right, are you
all right.
do you have a little inkling of something, movie?
Yeah. It's like someone who's been really bad at poker, and then they like put some spice in it for a second, and you're like, huh, where the hell did you come from?
And then as quickly as they came, they left.
Right. As quickly as they came, they left. And because there's no strategy, I just caught myself yelling like, fix your script when I was watching this. I mean, to me, this is first draft. First draft of everything are shit, but they should have gone back and been like, hey, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. But one thing that I thought has some potential here for a split second, and then they lost me, was I really was getting excited during what's the kid's name who has the camcorder through everything? Is it Dalton?
Yeah.
Dalton.
Yeah.
So Dalton has, I think it's Dalton. We'll just call him Dalton, right? So he has the cam.
So. Yeah, Dalton.
Yeah, that's his name now. Dalton. So he's filming everything. He's kind of reminds me like the goofy guy in Scream, but obviously that guy is better in my opinion. So I do think there could have been a little bit more purpose to why he was even there. Sometimes I was just like, oh yeah, that guy.
I mean, like they could have played with the him recording things.
Yeah. So there's this scene, right? And it's like everybody's asleep, and Dalton's like going through, and just he still has the camcorder, right? So what I thought it would have been really cool was after that truck came. Remember the truck came, and Chad Michael Murray's character is like, hey, I'm a manly man, let me throw my cans at you, haha. Like that kind of thing. So after the truck guy left, it would have been really cool if they would have taken that camcorder scene, and they're going over, okay, Paris Hilton sleeping, and then like Chad Michael Murray sleeping, and that kind of thing. Like doing that would be really creepy, and you think it's Dalton, and then what if on the final like still Dalton. Of that they show Dalton? They show Dalton. So it's like I thought that's where they were gonna maybe go with like the camcorder, and it just became like so like, okay, here's a montage to some rock music that makes no sense being a part of this film, and they're just gonna throw the football around, and haha, Paris Hilton's laughing, and I'm just like, that could have been something. So
see,
when they started that,
you already wrote a more tense scene than the movie.
Which I don't think is hard, but I mean, I appreciate it. Yeah. So do you guys have any okays, and then they got
not
diffused
really
quickly?
Not really. I've seen it falls under. I don't hate it with the same intensity as a lot of people do, but then again, I don't hate
it.
I don't hate the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street with the same intensity as a lot of people do, even though I can point out tons of bad things about it. Those remakes all kind of fall under generic cash grabs to me.
Right. Like, and that's kind of what this was,
This was,
not kind of, that's exactly what this was.
Yeah, definitely
it's hard for me to get super pissed at a generic cash. I used to, but then I'm like, well, what am I going to get pissed at a generic cash grab because people went and saw it? It did exactly what a generic cash grab movie does, and if I'm angry at that, then I have to be angry at the people for giving them money because it's an obvious cash grab.
Right. I think this one pissed me off so bad was because it was like, at least change the name, right? If you're gonna say it's House of Wax, it's a remake of the 1953. Like, no, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
No, they're two completely different movies.
I think that is like the heat of my like anger. Like, that's what pissed me off so much. And then they have the audacity to name somebody Vincent. I'm just like, monsters.
One last thing, talking about the old one real quick. I forgot to bring up. At one point, it felt like a William Castle movie in which the A, the intermission, and B, when the guy with the ping pong battles came out and was talking to the audience.
Yeah.
There's a bag of popcorn. Yeah, and
there's a bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
I had to hurry up and check the thing. I was like, is this a William Castle thing?
Yes, I had that too. That's so funny. That's really funny.
My thought was, if only somebody could go back in time, because this was obviously supposed to be for the audience. I was like, if only somebody could go back in time and tell them that 3D would one day be a thing and that people would eventually get bored of it.
Yeah. I always enjoyed that because then it was like, him breaking the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. And my dumbass for the longest time didn't realize that's what he was doing.
He's like, is he talking about?
Because there's like a crowd there, so he's
Who's
like
he
tells the lady he's gonna like hit the powder off her nose, and every time I'm like, ooh, I would kick his ass, but like he has
popcorn.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, they had no popcorn before you go into the House of Wax, and the whole time I'm thinking nobody has popcorn. And so I did that for ever.
This movie has horrible continuity. There's no popcorn to be had.
I mean, but okay. And then I did have one more they surprised me, or even just for a second, was I can't remember the character's name, but oh my God, when they sew her mouth shut.
In the remake.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember that from the Vincent Price movie. I was like,
sorry, 2005. So one thing that when she pokes her finger out, through the grate or whatever.
Don't do that.
Oh man, that stressed me out. So I wasn't expecting that when she was just trying to get, I think it was her brother's attention.
It was trying to get her brother's attention, and then her finger gets cut off with the shears.
Yeah, doesn't he bend down and tie his shoe too? And you're just
he pretends to tie his shoe, and he. I mean, I know what she was trying to do, but I was like, lady, that is not the best. You can't.
Smack the grate. Don't put your
smack the grate. That would make a lot more noise than why would you stick your finger? Even if you stuck your finger out, you're bang on the grate. That would make way more noise, and that would catch somebody's attention way more.
Yeah, and something else, I just there is never a time in this movie where I was like, that's smart. There you go.
Yeah.
And so you see these movies where people do all these crazy things. You're like, oh, that's smart. Like, oh yeah, that'll work. And you never have that. And to me, in good horror, you at least have one character operating at the height of their intelligence. They're like, okay, so we have to do this.
You have to have the straight man in order to for everybody else to their personalities to bounce
right. And it just felt like we didn't have that. And then even I was excited to see Jared Padalecki in this. It was one of the one things, and I was like, oh, he still wasn't great, but but then when I saw him go through the house, I'm like, why are you going through that? Heaven forbid you just use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And he's going through everything. He's touching everything. It just made me cringe so hard. I'm like, stop.
I say the only thing that makes me cringe is probably when the guy's getting his face peeled when he's
because he's still alive and
he's still alive. That's the only scene that ever gets a reaction out of me is that scene, because the guy, he's sitting there and then you see a single tear roll down his face because the dude is basically ripping his face off. And he's like, I'll help you, dude, I'll help you. I'm like, get your hands off of him, stop touching things.
Yes. See, so one more thing that just coming from that, in the Vincent Price House of Wax, all of the wax figurines are famous, and I think Jared Padalecki's character even says aren't they supposed to be famous?
Yeah.
And so I did think that was kind of weird, and again, it's so they make these wax figurines and stuff, but what, why, where, how did this become a thing?
At what point did the last person in town hey, I should probably get out of here?
Everyone else is gone.
Everybody else is gone. At what point did the town just did he do that to everybody in town and nobody it's this is weird.
And that isn't that part of it being the attraction is in the Vincent Price one, we have Marie Antoinette, we have Joan of Arc, and then we have I almost always say Edmund Kemper, which is 70s, serial killer. Is it Val? Wait, who is it? Kimmler? The first guy on the electric chair in New York State.
Oh, yeah. I believe, yeah.
Yeah, so that part kind of annoyed me because it was just
random people.
How is this an attraction? You know what I mean?
Why would
like,
I
it
want
was
to
weird.
why would I go here when I could go to Madame Tussauds and see famous people?
Yeah.
Are you guys Supernatural fans?
I'm in the middle of the first season.
I've seen every episode. Yeah.
Okay, so something that I thought was really cool, and this isn't like an episode spoiler or anything, but they bring Paris Hilton into a wax themed episode of
Yeah,
Supernatural.
I remember that episode. Yeah.
And I just like, before I had, I watched Supernatural, I hadn't seen the 2005 version of House of Wax. So I was just like,
why?
Paris Hilton? I'm like, okay, why? And then, you watch this movie and you're like, Paris Hilton, okay, why?
Yeah.
but yeah, then it made sense. And I just thought that was kind of funny.
So I think the episode came out around the same time as the movie.
Yeah.
Like in that same year.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Isn't it like Sam's just like Paris Hilton?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's two people from Supernatural who were in House of Wax then.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna say, there's one thing that I find funny in a lot of generic horror movies that involve like this tragic event happened, and this is why like this dude was like this is why that dude looked.
Yeah.
They always keep newspaper clippings and stuff like that in their house.
Right.
Are they for the main protagonists of the film to kind of stumble across?
Yeah, and it's like,
this explains everything of why they're
everything
like this.
you need to know. Like,
they just keep
the script. We'll just leave these newspaper clippings out.
Yes,
and
I always find that hilarious. It's like they just
was so weird.
They just keep it all on hand. Just people to
and
find.
I thought maybe the truck driver, the one that gives, is it Jared? Yeah, Jared Padalecki and the other girl a ride into the town. I thought maybe he was gonna be okay. I don't love that idea. When they do bring out the knife, their reaction to his knife I thought was really weird, because like he's like Hunter, you landed in like the pit of animals, like carcasses and stuff like that. So that was kind of weird to me.
He's super backcountry. He has a knife on him.
And so like I thought it would have made more sense. Like, he was kind of like looking these girls up and down. So like to me that would be like more of a threat than this like Hunter guy like having like this knife. He does stab it like into the thing, into the dashboard.
He is a little intense, but at the same
time he's
a
little intense. Yeah. I wanted the church scene to be better in the end too. I wanted the church scene to be better.
Speaking of ends, if I had to say anything bad about the original, but this is with pretty much all movies of that era,
right?
You kind of just end.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I would 100% agree with that. Even though I absolutely adore like House on Haunted Hill.
It just ends.
No spoilers. I'm supposed to see it on Friday.
Oh, sorry. No spoilers. No spoilers. But yeah, but it's the same thing. A lot of movies back then just ended. The need to put the end was like such a thing back then, and it was like, no, just end the damn thing. You don't have to tell us,
I was looking at the time because I was watching it on my phone as I was writing notes, and they're at the police station and they're talking. I'm like, this thing only has like 40 seconds left. How's this gonna wrap up?
And you're like, what the hell? Yeah.
And then and then he holds up the head and he's like, he's gonna have a full grown beard by the time. I'm like, and then I was like, that's a very weird way to end your movie.
Yeah.
But,
a
lot of movies like that.
2005 one was dumb, like introducing the guy who gave him a ride as like the third brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, open for a sequel. No one.
They thought they were gonna get a sequel.
Yeah, no one wants that.
I honestly just thought the twin thing should have been cut. It just didn't make sense. Yeah, exactly. It added nothing. And that's why I hate the twin trope in horror, because it's used stupidly, and it doesn't add anything unless it's done well. And honestly, I just haven't seen it done very well. One thing I do have to ask you guys, the director of the 2005 House of Wax? Have you guys seen The Orphan?
Oh yeah.
It's been a while, but yeah.
It's the same director. It's the same director.
What did you think of that movie?
I actually enjoyed The Orphan, and I know that some people don't like it. I love oh my gosh, why am I spacing her name? Lorraine from The Conjuring. What's the actress's name?
Vera Farmiga.
Is it Vera? Yes. Yeah, I always want to say Vera Wang. That's the designer. But to me that movie was good for what it was. I mean, I don't think it was a masterpiece by any means, but it was kind of low budgety. But to me, it had substance.
It was like a fun popcorn movie.
Exactly. So to me, that was a fun popcorn movie that had enough good acting, which 2005 House of Wax does not have.
Yeah.
It has enough good acting and it has enough story progression that it is like a fun popcorn movie. And so I saw on like Rotten Tomatoes, some people described this 2005 House of Wax like that. I completely disagree.
Yeah.
This is not a fun popcorn movie. But to Chris's point, maybe it would have been had I watched it when I was 14, and it's just like, oh, we're such badasses watching this scary movie.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like back then it was fun.
It wasn't even that I felt bad at it. It was just one of those movies that just would be on. And then I would just be like, all right, I'll watch it. It was 14.
For me, it was about being a badass.
Yeah. Oh, to me, it was like, it was on and I would just catch it. Nothing else was on. I was 14. Listen to me. I was 14. I was young.
I was 14. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing.
I didn't know what I was doing.
I didn't know good horror.
Yeah. But I had an older brother and he would bring movies like this, and so he was like, no, this is only for the big kids. And I'm like, I can handle it. I was like that House of Wax in 2005, but I didn't watch that one. I can't remember why. Maybe I think it might have been a Harry Potter movie came out, and I was like Harry Potter.
Yeah. Better choice, obviously.
Yeah. I did watch The Signs with my brother when I was younger. I tried to rewatch that, and I didn't have the same appreciation for it that I did when I was younger. Same with Insidious. Insidious was one too.
I hate that when you go and watch a movie from when you're younger that you love, you're like,
you're like, shit.
Doesn't hold up, yeah. That's
it's
like me with Valentine.
I didn't know. Yeah.
I used to love that movie, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, I don't recommend this movie. If listeners out there, just watch the Vincent Price one. Unless you are somebody who just like enjoys laughing at bad horror movies, you might enjoy this one. If nothing else, I will say I had fun watching it just because it was funny, miserable, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it could have been about 30 minutes shorter, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those movies that if you're gonna watch with a group of friends so you can make fun of it as you're watching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was laughing my ass off. It was just like, they're doing what now? Like they slept until 2:30, and I couldn't get over that. I'm like, bullshit, they're still sleeping in the tent.
These guys
until 2:30. Like, have these people never been camping?
Oh, what? The house is made of wax? All right. Sure, why not?
That was such a weird detail. It made no sense.
I think they spawned a cool visual of the house melting at the end with the fire.
So where were you guys living when you were making this house of wax?
Yeah. That didn't make sense. It just, overall, I think, especially for how long it is, it's just not worth a watch unless, like I said, you enjoy just like laughing at shitty horror movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I love tearing apart movies. I
know.
I could do this all day.
Yeah.
But we are kind of coming to the end of the hour and a half.
Yeah, we tore this thing apart, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
But and we only minimally came at Paris Hilton, which I still think this wasn't Paris Hilton's fault.
No, she was Paris Hilton. That's what you
expect.
She
was Paris Hilton. That's a great way of saying it. She was Paris Hilton. They recruited Paris Hilton. One last thing I have to say. How funny is it seeing Paris Hilton shop for apartments like she's ever done that before? Like, look for apartments from the newspaper. She's like, oh, I need an apartment. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, sure, you've done that before.
Yeah, Paris. I'm sure Paris Hilton's been in that situation.
You're right.
What is this word in the script?
Apartment? Is that like, really? Where's the second floor?
Is that where the butlers live?
Yeah, the help.
Is that where the help lives? Oh, but that actually kind of segues. So we don't have a guest next week, I believe. Is that correct, Dave?
No.
So what I think, I think it's about time we go back to our roots, Dave. When's the last time you and me just watched a movie and just gave our critique?
Yes.
When was the last time we put the kids to bed early and you and me just went and saw a movie ourselves and just, when
do you guys have a movie in mind?
Well, I was going to say,
I think Black Christmas the last time was just you and I reviewing
was the last time that we had movie night. But speaking of Paris Hilton, and we are in March, she is in a movie called Repo the Genetic Opera, and that is a musical. We could do a musical March horror edition.
You guys should do like you guys should do like because it's Women in Horror Month.
Yeah.
So you guys should do like a badass like directed by a woman in horror. Like, so that would be like American Psycho. That would be the new Candyman. You guys could do old Candyman, new Candyman. Have you already done that?
We did the old Candyman.
We reviewed old Candyman.
You guys should do old Candyman and new Candyman. I think that would be, and a lot of people haven't talked about it, and I somewhat enjoyed it. I mean, I actually did enjoy it. I would watch it again. There's really beautiful, like creepy silhouette paper dolls, and it's just cool.
Well, you know what? That's actually a pretty good suggestion. How about for this month, in honor of the slasher anthology, we'll do a month of women-directed horror movies only for the month of March.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. And let me know if you guys need more suggestions.
Well, how about actually, I'll say let's start with American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about that? That is going to be our next movie review coming up, American Psycho.
American Psycho.
Nice.
Sounds good.
And that'll just be me and Dave episode until we get...
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be cool.
It's been a long time since I've sat and watched the whole movie all the way through.
Yeah, animal lovers, close your eyes, 10 minutes in.
As much as I quote American Psycho, like that whole... You like Huey Lewis in the News?
Yes. Yes.
Which I do.
Yeah. Oh my god, the dinner sequence with him and Reese Witherspoon. I just don't care about you very much. Or whatever he says. You're just you're just not awfully important to me. And it's just like, and she's like, what? She just keeps talking like.
Yeah, I love the business card scene.
Him losing his mind over
a business card,
over his... Oh my god, how did he get that?
That's hilarious. Yeah, so you guys are gonna have fun with that.
Yes, we will reserve our reservations at Dorcia's, and we will watch American Psycho.
Nice.
So excited for that. Yeah.
Let me know how it goes. I'm looking forward to that episode.
Yeah.
But once again, everybody, go out and check out the Slasher Anthology available. Where is that available? Where can people go and pick that up?
Amazon and Barnes & Noble /her.
You heard it here. Yeah. And Haley Newlin, thanks for coming on the show again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always a blast. Always happy to talk about shitty horror movies.
Yeah.
And as always, I've been Chris Thomas, and with me, Broke Rider Dave.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review, or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.